Okay manne, well done. Ek weet julle is vrekmoeg. Hierdie was nie maklik nie.
Nou,
Mentally, physically, dit was 'n challenge.
jy kan dit weer sê. Jy weet, 72 uur is 'n lang tydperk en wanneer die vis jou so bederf, dan is dit 'n vat in jou lyf.
Okay, so julle het gedink in die begin 1000 kg is on the cards. En julle was baie naby. Waar het julle geëindig?
Goeie vraag.
960 dink ek het Carp gesê. 958. So net so kort van 960. 40 kg kort. Dit beteken dis nie baie vis as hulle 5 kg weeg nie. Ja. As dit 'n regtig mooi groot vis is, dan is dit 'n paar vis. Kom ons praat 'n bietjie deur. Ek wil eers net kyk na die totale verloop en die feit dat die venue se performance anderster was as wat jy verwag het. Of was dit? Het jy gekry wat jy gedink het of was dit anders?
Die kontras is dat die vis het die aand afgekom. En ons kon net nie die vis in die aand aan die gang kry nie. As die son begin opkom, dan is ons in die vis. As die son ondergaan, is weer weg. En ons het net nie 'n nagplan kon bewerkstellig.
Dien, julle het ook goeie voorbereiding gedoen en jy's een baie tegniese en pedantiese persoon met betrekking tot strategie. En you like to have your masterplan ready before the time. So jy het oefeningslopies gevat en alles en jy het goed agter mekaar gekry. Wat was die verskil tussen dit wat jy daar uitgefigure het en dit wat in die loop nou getranspireer het?
So Werner, jy weet ons, soos jy nou opgenoem het, ons het kom oefen. En ons wou presies weet wat aangaan. En ons was 'n bietjie verstom. Ons het 'n 24 uur sessie kom insit en presies volgens die reëls, saam met mense agter ons, saam met mense wat vir ons geweeg het, net om te sien wat aangaan. En in daai 24 ure, ons het 632 kg karp gevang.
In 24 uur?
In 24 uur. En dis hoekom ons regtig gedink het en voorbereiding gedoen het vir oor die 2 ton se vis in terme van die voorbereiding wat ons gedoen het, want ons het geweet tempo as dit so aangaan, jy weet dan moet mense wakker wees. En jy hoef nie slim te wees met wiskunde, maar daai was 'n 1.9 ton oefensessie as jy daarna kyk. So party mense dink dalk ons het te veel voorberei. Ek dink ons het genoeg gedoen want ons het nog steeds gewen. So duidelik, ons plan was reg, maar die vis was net anders. Toe ons kom oefen het, die vis was op die bodem, ons het hulle op 'n kol gekry en ons het hulle in hoope gevang. En die groot visse gevang. Ons gemiddeld, ons het 2 goedjies uitgeoefen op afstande. Toe ons geoefen het, die een afstand se gemiddeld was 4.7 vir die tyd wat ons hier was, en die ander afstand was 4.2 vir die tyd wat ons hier was. En dit was heel toevoudig hier op son 30 net langs ons waar Israel gesit het. Toe ons in hierdie zone getrek het, toe was ons natuurlik opgewonde want ons het of hierdie swim of 30 en natuurlik ons gehoop vir 30. Toe kry ons 27 en ek het vir Lappies gesê, ek het 27 voorheen opgeneem. En vir een of ander rede, en ek dink dit het baie te doen met die bodem, daar's bitter min silt op hierdie swim en daar's baie silt op 30. Ek dink die jong visse baljaar op die sand, hulle geniet dit nie, dis maar een van die dinge. Van die voorbereiding...
Ja, maar jy sê jy het voorberei vir oor die 2 ton se vis. Hoe doen 'n mens dit?
So ons het 15.3 kg PVA's ingebring. So dit is voor pre-packed, ready made, good to go. I can share some with you. So, for example, excuse me, ek gaan nou 'n bietjie Engels.
Ja, sure.
Alright, go for it. So these are the typical true feed maize pellets, and you'll see there's some of the vacuum coated oil pellets in there, and there's also krill pellets, so we have made krill. Worked exceptionally well last time. Then our typical Sinner 1 maize, which I think you're very familiar with by now. That's the Sinner 1 maize pellets and the normal maize pellets. We hung the fish out last time, and the fish went down to the bottom. If we tried to go with the typical fish meal pellets, the cats were on us in the practice. So we wanted to avoid that. So part of our preparation was to avoid that. In the middle of the game, we realized that we actually had to go back to the normal Nile pellet, which is a high fish meal based pellet, and the cats were leaving us alone. So it was quite a shift for us. So in terms of the voorbereiding, as I said, over 15.3 kilos of pre-packed PVAs that came in that we wouldn't have to waste time on the peg at all. Hook links, gazillions, made up perfectly, checked everything to make sure that we weren't going to run into trouble. We've got a philosophy: you drop a fish, you throw the hook link away.
What type of rigs did you come with?
Pick a rig, and we came with it. Okay, but when we practiced, we did on combis, so fluorocarbons, stiff fluorocarbons with a braided combi, short combi on the front of it. It's currently pulled inside the bag, so I can pull it out the bag for you if you want to have a look. But in principle, I think many people understand the combi is. The next important thing at this venue is, sorry, I'm a bit tired. The next important thing at this venue is your bottom differs from swim to swim. So your weight system is important, and the size of your weight is important. We found that a 78 gram pair worked well for us, but not an inline pair. Some swims you would have helicopters, in particular Lappies loves helicopters. We didn't have to use it here, there's no filter. So the flat pair worked fine on the stand bottom and on the plate bottom, that was all good. I think in terms of the rest of the voorbereiding, physically fit, very fit. I don't know if people were watching us towards the end. We were still capable of running around on the swim, because we're putting
I must say I'm quite impressed with your work rate on this one. I'm impressed with the energy, the level, how fast you move. Although Lopez is the subdued, quiet, hy's die stilte van self, ja. En jy's 'n bietjie 'n live wire wat rondhardloop, so dit komplementeer mekaar baie mooi. So ek was regtig waar beïndruk met hoe julle gewerk het op die swem.
Baie dankie.
Ek wil net gou praat voordat ons oorgaan oor ase en taktieke en wat julle spesifiek toe moes anderster doen as die voorbereiding. Julle setup soos wat hy op die swem is. Julle mengel met 2 stelle banksticks met 'n feeding station in die middel. Praat bietjie vir ons deur die effektiwiteit daarvan.
Dit is baie maklik. Een kant besluit jy op afstand, en die ander kant besluit jy op afstand. Hierdie kant kan ons op die grond hengel, daai kant kan ons op zieks hê. Want jy kan nie die stokke deur mekaar hê, want die zieks gaan dan opgetel word. So dit is baie makliker om dan te kan fokus op daai en te voer op daai as selle aan die ander kant, vir die zieks selle aan daai kant. So die voerstasie in die binnekant kan ons gou die pellets uitskiet met 'n ketting, of ons kan nie daar so staan en swem, en dit werk ons baie gemaklik. En dit is regtig baie spasie. So dit is hoe ons vind dit is die beste as wat ons 'n pot in die middel se gehad het met 4 stokke. Ons voel dit is baie beter om so te opereer, want jy moet tussen die stokke deur en jy moet weer gaan om die vis te skep en gaan die vis oor die ander stokke, so dis 'n probleem. Maar hierdie setup is vir ons baie briljant.
Terug by die voorbereiding, die laaste vraagie vir dit. Het julle voorberei vir Ziekriek hengel en wat is die probability wat julle gedink het julle gaan dit nodig hê?
Ja, ons het voorberei daarvoor. Dit is interessant, ek dink daar's bitter min mense in Suid-Afrika wat Ziekriek session en ek dink ook hulle sal jou probeer verduidelik. Ja, nee, dit werk nie in Suid-Afrika nie en in Europa werk dit. Maar ek dink enige persoon wat nou dopgehou het. Mense, as julle nie zieks in Suid-Afrika gooi en op die regte manier toepas, dan julle mis uit op groot geleer. Ons weet die barometriese lugdruk gaan op en af. En ek kry die ouens jammer in oeverhengel, want hulle het nie die metode of die vermoë.
They don't have the latitude.
They don't have the latitude to be able to, pick the bait up in the water column. And I think that is many days when you see people on bank angling and everybody sitting staring at policemen. It's not die vis byt nie. Nee, die vis sal byt. Jy's net in die verkeerde kolom in die water. But no, we definitely were prepared for it, and it's actually quite ironic. We're going to France for the World Championships, and I think it's going to be a lot of zig fishing. So we have been practicing here with zigs just to make sure that we get it right. Found a little trick that worked exceptionally well for us. One of the biggest issues with zig fishing is presenting the bait. Okay. And yeah, well, we found a little way around that one.
Okay, talk us through that. Wat het julle gedoen? Wat is hierdie goedjies?
So hierdie is Trufeed se Ziegrig
Floating pellets.
Baie soos 'n koi pellet. En ja, ons het hom aangehaak aan die fisiese sponsie op die Ziga. So smeer hom in die, kom ons noem dit maar die voorsien, dat hy net kan vir ons wys as hy water slaan dat hy homself ontwikkelik gepresent.
Dat jy nie tangles het.
So ja, en as ons dit gedoen het ek gestaan en met die spom het ek dan nou mixed particles en dan ook dan nou van hierdie pellets daaroor hulle gespom. En die pellet het begin dryf, want hy gaan af en hy kom op dadelik en hy dryf. En dit is waar die vis opgetrek het. Jy het self gesien as die spom maar val, hoe scatter die vis. So ja, dit het vir ons definitief, hierdie is uniek, verseker.
Wat is die grootste uitdaging met Ziegrig kennel?
Ek gaan praat want ek en Dean het twee verskillende werke gehad. Julle sou sien, hy het elke keer die ziek gegooi. En Dean gooi daai ziek op, ons het 'n merker aan die oorkant en jy kan maar gekyk het, as jy hom daar neergesit was hy daar. Ek het nog so hier en daar rondgeval met die spom, maar later het het baie beter ingetrek. En toe die wind opkom, sien ons, daar's ons geleentheid vir die Ziegrig visvang verby. En ons is verbaas, want dit het net nie opgehou nie. So die pellet hierdie vis in die waterkolom maar bo gehou. En ja, as ons hom daar kon kry, dan was hulle gevang.
Uitstekend. Op 'n stadium was ons hier gewees op 'n live en jy het 3 of 4 visse op die ziek gedrop na mekaar. Een na die ander. Julle was 'n bietjie moedeloos op daai stadium. En toe maak julle 'n verandering of 2 en toe ewe skielik toe se reg. Wat het daar gebeur?
Ja, so jy weet, en dit is 'n ding van Ziegrig. Wat mense ook nie besef die grootte van die lood is belangrik. So vir my it's a fine balance, because you don't want the weight too heavy because you're fishing a very small hook with a long hook length. So you don't want the weight too heavy that it's going to pull the hook, right? Because it's difficult to fight the fish on a Ziegrig. But at the same time, you want it, the way you set it up is tight to a heavy weight that as soon as he does anything on that bait, you actually want the weight to hook him and set the hook.
Is the weight actually bolted or with a bead?
Good question. We did bolt the weight. So in the past you used to be able to drop your lead when you fished zigs, so you'd have it on a system whereby as soon as he sets the hook, you drop the lead and you fight the fish much easier as opposed to trying to carry this weight that's 2 or 3 meters away from the actual hook. The other thing that we picked up was the physical hook size. I went down in hook size, not up in hook size, and then we started to get better hook sets. And then when you look at the setup, the way the foam sits basically on the turn of the hook and how close and tight you can get it to the turn. You want the hook to basically present like that and not like this. So you want the hook to almost present like that. Why? Because when the fish comes past, the fish is just inquisitive.
Just sucks in what is in the water.
He's not there because he's hungry, he's inquisitive. There's something that's in front of him, it looks like it might be food, he doesn't have hands. How does he test it? He puts it in his mouth. And you've got one opportunity when he puts it in its mouth to set the hook, or for the lead system to set the hook. I think you've probably also noticed a lot of them, you've got this massive drop back.
Yeah.
And that was disappointing, because if you can visualize what's happening in that situation is, he's got the bait in his mouth, so he's dislodged the lead. So he's actually picked the lead up and the lead's busy coming towards you. So you would think that means hook set is in. I think it's just, it's like a skin hook. It's not a solid hook. I think you like just nicking the skin and he carries it and then it just breaks through the skin. And when you want to make contact, Houston, there's no contact. Yeah.
Okay, the casting with the Ziegrig, I see when it was convenient, you guys had Lopez was standing with it in his hand. Other times when he was busy, you cast it on your own. So what is the trick around that? Obviously it's quite easier for the pegmate to carry it or to hold it.
Okay, so for Ziegrig fishing, you get a peg that you can put on the ground with a magnet, and so you put the hook that is on the magnet and you can cast it. That will help for a long zig, like 15, 16, 17 foot zig, and you are alone. Your pegmate is asleep. but holding in your hand it's daunting. You can have a hook in your finger if you're not focusing, but the length of the zig Dean felt comfortable without me having to assist. So if you do put on the zig pellets, didn't hook on the mat, and then he just did what he had to do.
Last question on the zig rig fishing. Depth. How far on the surface, below the surface?
So that's the interesting one. So in the practice, I've established that you basically need about 700 millimeters below the surface. So when we did our plotting, when we got here, we confirmed the depths. And then once we figured, right, well, we're going to fish the zig where we've been feeding anyway. You probably could have fished the zig at 30 or 40 meters if you really wanted to. It wasn't that they would fish at anything on the bottom, in particular at the range we were fishing. But so we just did exactly the same, 700 mil. So I can tell you 1.8 meters. It actually means nothing.
700
1.8 meters in front of us would have been over length zig. 1.8 in the middle of the lake was going to probably be about 1 meter under the water. So, but the key was 700 under the surface.
Did you catch on overlength at all?
We tried. No. I was surprised. I know some of our other colleagues did.
Christo and Saki caught well on that
so,
overside. Overlength.
I know that, but we didn't. We did try it, but we didn't come out with it.
Okay, now we move on to the closest spot. It was a spot that was very productive. You caught a lot of fish, but it was a source of a lot of frustration with smaller fish. Talk us through what you did there, what you fed, and what the hook baits were.
So look, I think the feeding that we did at the beginning was the same, whether it was closed or far. So it was the same food source we were putting in, and that wasn't an issue. In the end, literally out of desperation, trying to get fish going at night, we started to shoot the catty, and the catty only goes 30 yards, so it's not very far when you're shooting pellets. So if you're shooting balls or boilies, it's different. And that's why we then decided, when we saw that we could get fish as soon as it starts to get light. If you've been shooting the catty close all night, as soon as it starts to get light, you're onto the fish. When we came and practiced, it was actually interesting. The average weight on our closest spot was the 4.7 kilo, where the furthest spot was 4.2. Still nothing wrong with either one of those averages. We didn't see them in this tournament. But when you can average fish close, half the distance of having to fight the fish, you just pick up the rate of everything that you're busy doing.
Hook baits and the way of feeding on your reef. Close up. We had a couple of samples there.
So I think hook bait wise, Lapis and I had quite a different approach, and that's the beauty about when you're a pig. So because we had practiced it, we were comfortable staying within those parameters. Lapis likes fishing paste, and he likes fishing ready, big boilies, pastes. He doesn't like to throw bags. He can, but he prefers to throw the paste. Up front, these fish get fed on pellets. They're used to pellets. So the bigger the pellet bag is, the more you just keep the pellets going in, the more you'll hold on the spot. And I think that was the biggest differences. Lucky fishing other than zigs, okay, but fishing bigger boilies, double boilies, where I was fishing the smaller. For example, this is a little tiger cell boilie with a little red sighter. The sighters are very, very important. Now when I say it's very important, what we would find as you move through the day, the colour of the sighter would change. So at a stage during the night, white was working very well, not for us but for our fellow team members. And as soon as the sun came out this morning, you've got to go orange or red. Late afternoon, red or black. It's just interesting how it works in this lake. Without changing the bait or the flavour, just change the colour of the sighter, and all of a sudden you start getting fish.
I also saw some tigers on those rigs. Did they work? Were you fishing them?
So I mean, again, just look at that. So the little boilie and the little tiger, they probably more or less the same size, same colour, and they both got red sighters on. So what is the fish really going for? Is he going for the boilie, or is he just going because it's a red sighter? So and these out of the buckets, what you're busy feeding, punctured pellet, semi-pellet, nothing special.
Okay, well, it's a fairly basic setup. My laaste vraag, en ek weet julle is extremely versed met hierdie venue. En julle is baie goeie en baie ervare karphengelaars. Is daar nog steeds leerpunte gewees? En as daar was, wat was die leerpunte van hierdie oefeningkie?
Van my kant af verseker die zieks. Dit is, want ek kan eintlik al vir 'n boek gaan skryf oor hoe ek opgetel het. Maar ja, soos die wind daar waai, jy weet, toe ons in Europa zieks gegooi het ons nie sukses gehad nie. En ons het nou hierso verskriklik baie sukses gekry. Die volgende komponent was die ziek pellets wat ons nou wat dien ingebring het. En dit het die ligte aangesit elke keer as ons net begin het. So julle was elke keer hierso in die oggende gewees en jy het self gesien as ons daai eerste spomp gooi dan sy vis op die oppervlakte dan loop hy ziek. So van my kant af dink ek daar's definitief elke keer wanneer jy by of dit nou by die Nyl is en op waar jy gemaklik is om dit te doen, is daar altyd ruimte vir verbetering. So jy leer altyd hoe om dit te kan doen en te kan verbeter.
Leerpunte van jou kant af sien?
Ja, nee, ek gaan saam met Lappie stem. Ek persoonlik het nooit gedink dat 'n ziek so vinnig byt laat jy nie die polisieman aan. Jy weet, vir my is dit, jy weet, 'n ziek is 'n asie wat in hierdie kolom water staan en dan moet 'n vis verbykom en jy weet, besluit hy wil die toets. Want ek glo van hy zieks, daai ding het nog nie eens sy 700 gesaf nie, afgetrek met die lood en die vis was al klaar. So ek dink, daar's groot kompetisie vir die kos, veral met die mengsel wat Lappies gemaak het, wat hy daar gespom het. Daar was van die goed wat bo was, daar was van die goed wat in die water gaan, en daar was van die goed wat hier in die waterkolom geval het. So ek dink daar was kompetisie na hele waterkolom vir die kos, en daai geheimpie van hom met die voorhou, ek dink ook was basies, ek wil sê treiser, maar ek dink dit het net vir die vis gewys, dis presies, daar's 'n nase.
Het julle poeier gedip of het julle net 'n paste of 'n
net so sosiaal.
Sterk florosous?
Ja, dit is nou nie water nie. Ja, maar daar's skrikkelik baie flora in, want as die gewig val, moet jy sien wanneer die ziek ook val. As jy net een splash doen, dan is dit 'n koek.
Ja, dit is dan. Wel, ek sê vir julle baie dankie. Ek waardeer dit en dankie dat julle so. Wel, eerstens baie geluk met julle baie goeie prestasie. Ons is verskriklik jammer dat julle nie die 1000 kg gemaak het nie. Ons weet dat dit vir julle 'n regtig ware teiken was wat julle wou gemaak het. Maar baie geluk met 'n baie goeie resultaat, 960 kg en baie dankie dat julle gedeel het en vir ons kykers 'n bietjie van julle hart gegee het. Ons waardeer dit.
Dankie Werner, ek wil net vir my penmaat sê. Jy's 'n eyster, hoor. Ek weet nie of julle gesien het, maar daar's bitter min kommunikasie op die pen. Maar ons weet wat om te doen.
Ek het gesien daar so nou en dan 'n bietjie van 'n brom, maar julle weet wat hulle sê.
Ja, natuurlik. Natuurlik. Ek weet die kompeterende gedeelte tussen ons twee is presies dieselfde. So ons weet hoe om dit
te kan verwerk. Wel dan.
Baie dankie.
Baie dankie dat julle saam gekuier het. En as jy wil iets meer weet van die Nyl, bel vir Karl Schultz. Kom hengel hier, boek 'n naweek, boek 'n week. Iwerster is pragtige chalets, mooi swims en tonne vis. As jy iets wil weet van karphengel, Johan Hopley is jou ou en hy wil natuurlik graag hê dat daar meer en meer juniors in hierdie sport in beweeg. En as jy iets wil weet van True Feed, Dean en Christopher, that's the guy to go to. Baie dankie julle, totsiens.
Dankie Werner, waardeer.